G'day team, this is BJ here from 618 Coaching and 618 Barbell, and this is a short video, hopefully short, that I'm putting together of just some very basic starter hip stretches just for a few of my powerlifting and strength clients. As I said, very basic. These are my go-tos. Generally what that I do when everything's pretty good. There's obviously some more advanced stretches and release work that we can do when things get a little bit more jammed up, but got to start somewhere. So first video here is just a basic hip flexor stretch, usually called the reverse lunge hip flexor stretch. So you see by the start of this movement, I'm setting myself up into a reverse lunge position. You'll see the next movement here will be what I call posturing the hips. So as I'm lunging my knee down, I will be driving my hips forward, and in this movement I'm trying to create some sort of tension anywhere between my kneecap up into my obliques on the side of the backwards leg. So as we've probably discussed before, the hip flexor group is a group of muscles, not just one. Like I said, rec fem connects down into the almost to the knee, and then comes up through the hip and then goes through into muscles like the psoas and stuff, so our deep core muscles. So as I said, if we're stretching anywhere between here and here, generally we're doing an okay job. You're probably going to hit the tighter spots or feel the tighter spots when we start the stretch, and then we'll be able to move on to more advanced ones to target further spots. So you see here a few adjustments to the movement that I'm doing is first I twisted away from my back leg to try to bring the stretch up into my abdominals there. I'll be doing it again on the other leg in a second, reaching overhead and just pulling the torso over to try to bring that stretch right up to near the rib cage in the psoas. So here again, making sure I've got tension down the hip, somewhere from the hip flexor, from the knee to the waist. Sitting in this position, feeling it out. To start with, this can be fine. Might be all you need to do to get a stretch happening. From here, twisting away, trying to get that stretch up higher in the hip. We can also twist across the other shoulder to try to reach more towards the adductors or the inner groin through the abdominal muscles. Now I'm going to reach over. This time I grab my elbow and pull myself into position. You can see here, obviously by my facials, quite tight through that bit I just ran my fingers on. Psoas muscle deep in the abdominals here, and just stretching out this way. Ignore the face. This is a daily stretch I recommend, 1 to 2 times a day. Cannot hurt. Hip flexors are generally tight, even if they are strong. Do remember, if we have constant tightness through muscles, generally means they're weak and they're overworked, and that's why they're tight. So coupling these or pairing these with some strengthening exercise is always a good idea. So here's a 90-90 stretch for more glutes and hip. Apologise, you can almost see my little beanbag there. I've checked, you can't see any skin, so just don't look her up. So here we're trying to get our legs on a 90-degree angle, front leg, and then our back leg can be 90 degree or a little bit further back. Leaning forwards into the stretch, I would be feeling this in my glute med, so the upper outside corner of your glute on the forwards leg. Maybe feeling it through the hamstring, the adductor as well. We want to keep this 90-degree angle. We want the legs, the femur of this leg straight out from the body, and then a 90-degree here to get into that hip capsule and glute the best we can. Transitioning over the other side, I'll go through the twists when we get there on this side. So again, femur straight out from the body, 90 degrees with the tib fib. Holding onto the foot sometimes helps just to hold that positioning. We're trying to lean in over. Obviously, when we get more advanced, we can come up and have this knee on the ground and lunge hard into our hip capsule. I am quite inflexible. I'm just as lazy as all the people I tell off. So this is how I start until my mobility increases. So getting a deep stretch by leaning over there, really hard into the joint. You'll see in a minute, I posture up and just do a few twists side to side. That's not really adding to the stretch. I just feel it frees up my lower back just a little bit in this position. And also do it very gracefully. So again, this is just more about sort of stretching out the erectors either side of the spine and just loosening the joints, the lumbar up a little bit. From here, there is a drill where we can transition side to side. This is a very ugly version of it. My angles are all out. I'm very immobile. My gut gets in the way at the same time. So just an example of something you can do to mobilize the joint itself as opposed to stretching the muscles around the joint. Finally, this is one I've been using for a long time. This is a goblet squat and manipulating the positioning to stretch some different areas. So here you can see with my elbows on the inside of my knees, I'm forcing my knees open, stretching my hips and groin. So really working the abductors. This is a great position to be able to do it whilst holding the kettlebell there. Easy to balance in the squat. Here I move the weight onto one elbow onto one leg and start just working through the angles of my ankle, trying to free up the front of that ankle and stretch out the Achilles and soleus behind the ankle. Then over onto the other side for the same. I think I'll do a few repetitions here. In between, I'll sit and just work on the groin again a little bit with hip abduction. Very important to keep the heel on the ground while we're doing this. So we're trying to stretch the muscles around the ankle and mobilize the joint. If the heel's coming off the ground, we're just shifting the weight, body weight on the position. Lowering the bell like this, keeping the posture tall can be a good way to gauge the upper back. Here I'm making myself look incredibly ugly and just doing some neck drills. So again, working that left ankle. Obviously the ankle's not just dorsiflexion, there's some rotation internal and external, so I find it is beneficial, especially prior to squatting, to really work around those corners to get some honest movement out of it instead of just a single plane of forwards and back. Alright, so if you're not doing any hip stretching, these are the ones I'd suggest starting with. We'll look as we go to build on these and add some extra ones in. I also have just a basic foam rolling, how I hit my quads, hamstrings, glutes and back, and some calf release as well that I'll look at getting put together soon. But I thought I'd stick this together to give you something to start on. Alright, I hope this helps. If not, hit me up with some comments and stuff and we can see if we can build on from there. Thank you very much and party on.